Welcome back to Cannabis in Canada with Jason Wilcox. Today is a very humble day. It's a beautiful sunny day here in British Columbia. I came all the way out to Surrey. I live in Vancouver. I wanted to come out here to the home of Green Planet Nutrients, where the main office is. These are friends of mine that have actually helped from the beginning of the coalition in ways that was never told before. It's been 4 years since I started the coalition in 2012. And in 2012, a lot of people, of course, didn't want to get behind the guy that said he was going to restrain the government or put them on trial. One of the people that really got behind me and stood behind me in the very beginning of the coalition to present day is the gentleman I'm going to interview today. Now, it's Justin, the owner of Green Planet Nutrients, and one of my longtime friends and sponsors. Now, I can't say enough about the company. I can only say that I'm looking forward to bringing to you, my audience, the man that's been instrumental in my life and was instrumental in saving the gardens in the country of Canada. The Cannabis Rights Coalition successfully raised $300,000, and we've done that with the help of organizations such as Green Planet. Allard's uncontested, and as we continue to circle around, we want to tell the story of everybody that was involved. To go around and say thank you to all of our sponsors, all the supporters, all the past and present reps. Most importantly, thank you to the founding people. Let's go talk to Justin. It's very emotional for me to talk about stuff like this because after 4 years of literally battle with the federal government and 4 years of fundraising, of organizing, getting people to understand educational awareness, it was a lot. And some of the people that were closest to me were people such as Justin. Early on in the coalition, the biggest part for me was when we started out, we needed to mail these boxes across the country. We didn't have a mailing account. We needed to get trifolds out. We didn't have any of this ability. I needed help. So I reached out to, at that time, it was my sponsor who helped me out with nutrients and stuff and equipment, and went in and asked and said what was going on and said that I felt that I could protect medical gardens in Canada, and I felt that the government was attempting to derail a bunch of patients. And the thought of an injunction, which is basically a fancy word for a restraining order, to restrain the federal government of Canada must have sounded absolutely crazy to a businessman like himself, coming from a medical patient like I, to go there and suggest that we're going to do this. And it was a $250,000 case. So in the early stages, I raised, a few $1,000s, was able to get us up, I think, around the $6,000 mark or something. And if we didn't hit 10,000, Mr. Conroy was going to leave. That was going to be it, and there wouldn't be an injunction. I don't know how else I can word it, because nobody else sure as hell believed in me, and no growers were stepping up to put their money where their mouth is. But Justin believed in it. He believed in what we were doing, and so did Mr. Conroy. He could have just shut it down there. He could have said, you failed to meet your legal engagement. You were supposed to raise $10,000 by this date, and you didn't do it. And because that date had arose, the pressure and the need to have that paid for literally within 48 hours was the difference between Mr. Conroy walking away from the Allard injunction versus moving forward with it. And that's where Justin came forward with and kicked up the additional, I think it was $4,000 plus that he kicked up. And that kept Mr. Conroy and showed Mr. Conroy that there were big backers and big people that were willing to help us, and we were going to make this happen. Right up to present day, again, Green Planet Nutrients from east to west, in Ontario, all the way out to here, have been at all of our fundraising events, helped us with different aspects of those facilitation of the events, making sure that things went off without a hitch, and helping to keep me grounded at times when I didn't really feel grounded. I felt lost, I felt that I was defeated, and I was always reminded, Jason, this is a David versus Goliath fight, and just stick to your guns. It took a little bit of faith, it took a little bit of brotherhood, and it took a lot of trust. Now with an estimated 1 million medical marijuana growers in Canada, I hope that you look to Green Planet Nutrients and check out their products and their tents and their different things, especially like their products as far as nutrients. When I say tents, there's Pacific Northwest Garden Supply, which is another instrumental sponsor of the coalition. They have several stores here in British Columbia. They were instrumental in many parts of our fundraising as well. And they have the tents and everything as well that are available now in LED lighting, all the new technology for patients, and then Green Planet Nutrients offering the best in nutrient supplies, and always striving to get what's newest, best for the end user at the most cheapest cost. At the end of the day, that's what matters. And again, I'll point back, I'm not here trying to just promote a product or promote a company. I'm honestly here to say thank you to that company. And I think that a lot of people should say thank you. Because it's quite frankly, without this, we wouldn't be here without somebody stepping up and kicking up the money we wouldn't be here. And I know it's easy to say, well, yeah, I would have kicked up the money in hindsight. But I tell you, I think 4 years ago, in 2012, it was absolutely insane to throw $4,000 or $5,000 towards a case like this. With all that being said, I look forward to getting to the shop here and having a chance to sit down with Justin and talk and just reminisce a little bit about just how we got here and what it took, because it truly was an ad hoc grassroots movement and a David versus Goliath fight. And I'm proud to have had one of my brothers there with me from the start and still with me there today. So I look forward to seeing him, and we should be there any minute now. All right, welcome back to Cannabis in Canada. This is a very special edition of Cannabis in Canada where I wanted to talk about the Cannabis Rights Coalition, our founding, how we started, and honestly, how everything came to be. I first want to welcome Justin, the owner of Green Planet, back to Cannabis in Canada.
What's going on, Jason?
Oh man, Allard uncontested.
Big deal.
Huge deal. Now we're here at the Green Planet warehouse, and I've often said to people as I went across the country how integral and how instrumental you were and Green Planet was in the founding of the coalition. And what I mean by that was Mr. John W. Conroy, QC, he needed $10,000 for me to be able to get him to continue to go forward, to get an injunction. So before we ever looked at a legal case, first we needed to look at that injunction. And because of that need for 10 grand, I could only raise $6,000. I had a lot of help pointing me different directions, who to ask, who to go ask for money. And Justin helped me out with getting donation boxes mailed out across the countries, flyers, trifolds, flying me to Ontario so I could get our people in Ontario aware of this case. And most importantly, when we hit 7 grand, I was dead in the water. I thought we lost. I really did. I thought we were going to lose John and our gardens were gone. I came and I talked to Justin here. Justin was my sponsor since 2009 for my own channel on YouTube. When I came to him and told him about this, I knew it was a David versus Goliath thing. I knew it was a Hail Mary. But I asked him, please, bro, support me. Throw in this extra money. I can't remember exactly the total, Jay, but
$4,200.
$4,200 was what he threw in there. And I tell you, that was what kept Mr. Conroy, because they put us over the $10,000 threshold, and we could then fully promote Mr. Conroy's name and put this case into action. And Justin, on that note, again, brother, heart to heart, thank you.
Hey, it was our pleasure. You know what? We saw, it was a David and Goliath case, and we saw, if anything, let's do something. We would have been an accomplice in doing nothing, and that's not okay. We did everything we can in our power. We had boxes sent out to every single store. On top of that, we went to every single rally and sponsored and threw product and as much swag as we possibly could. And we asked other nutrient companies or other retail stores, please get on board, help out with this, because we also own a retail store called Pacific Northwest Garden Supply, or a chain of stores. And we saw such a dramatic effect on how this plant was benefiting and helping people in wheelchairs. And you'll see them come in and they have no clue what they're doing. 3 months later, they have smiles on their face, they have hope, they have an interest, they have a love for all of a sudden growing, which not only does the plant help them, but having a hobby like gardening is also another fantastic way of giving someone who's in pain or sick some help and hope. And we saw the need for this. It wasn't only the initial seed money. The initial seed money wasn't that it was a lot, but it was at a time when this was a baby, it was a dream.
But so the viewers understand, 2012. In 2012, people thought that I was loony. They thought that I was crazy. Restrained the federal government, put them on trial. I mean, whoever does that. So of course, for me to come to you and say, Justin, we're going to actually restrain the government, even though we knew there wasn't a chance. I don't know how to put it into words for you, but for me, I knew that asking for people for money, it was like asking, again, David versus Goliath fight. It's like the chances of your money actually going to any good at that time in 2012 was...
It was a long shot.
It was a long shot.
It was a serious long shot. And you know what? Dreams can come true.
Here we are.
And it did in this case. And we knew that what was currently going down with the legal system, that it was unconstitutional and unfair. And I don't care if it's growing your own vegetables, growing your own cannabis, growing any plants. You should have the God-given right to grow plants. And it doesn't matter what kind. or it doesn't matter what company wants to have a monopoly on a certain plant. That's wrong. People should be able to consume healthier choices, a fuller diet, a different type of genetics for whatever ails their pains. These things all come into line, and you know, that's why we initially really backed you. We did all the printing, we got you out to Toronto. It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't the initial seed money. There was a ton of work and effort.
Honestly, I need this on record. I want people to know this because our first concert that really kicked us off in fundraising, that made the whole country know our name, was a Fortune Sound concert. And without a phone call from Justin to a few other friends to get us in there, to get them to give us that club to be able to do our first fundraiser, we would not have kicked off the first $18,000 fundraiser, followed by another concert there that we raised an additional $21,000. So again, that's like another $40,000 raised as a direct result of your influence and your help in the background, never going out championing all the stuff you did. Now's the time that I want to say, yeah, let's champion it, because without Green Planet Nutrients, there wouldn't have been a case or a coalition moving forward, and all the way through. It's been 4 years.
Well, and the exact same thing can be said. We would not have the right as medical growers, not myself, but customers and people would not have that license to grow legally in Canada without you and without your vision, your dream. And if we could help that happen, it's part of a wonderful thing. And that really is going to, I think, lay the groundwork for what legalization looks like. You know, it needs to be regulated. It can't be accessible to children. All these things. I mean, you know, there's lots that needs to go into it. But when legalization comes around the corner, it's going to be an important point saying you can make your own wine, or you can buy a bottle of wine from the store. And in our case, it's unconstitutional for you not to be able to make your own medicine. So both models can work. They have worked. We've seen globally that this is happening. And you know, Green Planet's also, we never wanted to be the ones being the loudest in the room. You know, saying, hey, look at us, we're helping the coalition. We did shout out and say, you know, please get involved. Please support this because it's a good cause. And we found very little support. You know, I was shocked at, you know, the amount of people that genuinely didn't open their pocketbooks. Yes, the concerts, yes, all these things. And, you know, if we knew what we know now, I'm sure there would have been a ton of people more involved. But they were frightened, and you know, the amount of people within this industry that were naysayers from the get-go was crazy. I couldn't believe it. So it was our honor to be involved. I think every gardener, I think with legalization coming around the corner and everyone having a right to grow, they have a debt of gratitude and a debt of thanks to you and your vision. And you know, if we just threw some money and some effort and some time towards this ourselves, it's just doing what was right, because what was right is patients first.
Absolutely, and that's what it ended up, is patients can now grow in this country. We proved that fire, mold, and organized crime doesn't exist in the country of Canada. It was very unfortunate because Officer Holquest, who's the organized crime officer, trying to say medical patients were these organized crime syndicates, and Chief Lingaris, the fire chief here in Surrey, this was the very fire chief that bombed. So it didn't prove a single fire, and they didn't prove a single conviction of a medical marijuana grower, and they actually tried to throw all 31,000 or 35,000, whatever it was, growers under the bus.
You know what the funny thing is? The part of the Allard case that hasn't been discussed is the millions that were spent by the federal government on our tax dollars on fighting this.
Thank you.
And the corporations behind this. The whole reason why this plant has been demonized, I mean, it took Sanjay Gupta, that was a major turning point in CNN, for the head chief CNN doctor to say, we've been duped. We've been lied to for the last 70 years. And that was a major turning point in the whole process. Why does it take that for people to finally look at why this plant was illegal in the first place? I mean, if we look at the reasons, hemp as a fiber against nylon and DuPont. racism. If you look at all the details, it's shocking how today, with the internet, with social media, that there's still people that are ignorant to this being even a viable option for a health. We all know, let thy medicine be thy food and thy food be thy medicine. What we consume and then what we put in our bodies ends up being who we are. Yep. And if I'm eating hamburgers all day, I'm gonna get sick and die of cancer. So this isn't only about cannabis, this is all about living a healthier lifestyle. Green Planet's preached for years, don't eat within the 100-mile diet. Eat in your backyard. It takes nothing to grow some plants. Get your kids out there, have some fun. This doesn't have everything to do with cannabis. Cannabis is just another plant, and we don't discriminate at Green Planet. We believe that everybody should grow plants, all plants. So,
well, especially now with me, I know you've been my sponsor, and again, as a legal medical marijuana patient in Canada, it was my legal garden that I was able to come here, get the help, doing organic nutrients, making sure that I was getting the right advice so that I was able to grow my stuff efficiently. And now I'm happy to say I'm still here and I'm still able to get that advice, but now I can share that with the estimated 1 million medical marijuana patients in Canada who may want to start growing for themselves at home, now that you have a right to do so. It's going to be in the next 6 months that they legislate what arises from Allard. And I believe that when we legalize, you're right, there are going to be X amount of plants that are going to be allowed per person. And that's going to directly impact this country. And I'm really happy to say that everybody in the coalition, all the sponsors, everybody, that as we go around telling the stories, people not forget how we did this, very ad hoc, and who got us to where we are. Because it was never just one person that made this happen. It was a true body collective, and it started with people like Justin.
It was a grassroots, no pun intended, start. We started grassroots.
Grassroots, it was.
It literally was an idea like yourself. We used our influence and our abilities, our money, and started pounding the pavement and getting people to really believe. And if anything, it sounds crazy, but we achieved greatness and success and a fantastic outcome going against taxpayers' dollars, the millions that were spent,
There's 1.2 million, just for the record, because it's
$1.2 million was spent of taxpayers' money to ensure that people can't grow medically. That, to me, is an absolute atrocity, a waste of, I know I work, I pay taxes, and if someone was wasting my money so inefficiently, I'd have to start asking questions. And it's unfortunate, but here we are today. Yep. And thank you to John Conroy also. He, and Kirk Tusaw. They.
Our whole legal team, actually, Vaze, Tanya Grace, our whole legal team did so well at picking apart the government. And once again, at the end of the day, there's no public safety. So what we're talking about, and this is why I love Green Planet, the right to autonomy, to put into your body what you feel will help you, be it plants of any sort, or be it cannabis. If you're a medical patient in need of cannabinoids, and God knows there is medical value, Dr. Sanjay Gupta said that, it needs to be explored. And I'm happy to say now we can do this and move forward in this country thanks to this ad hoc movement, thanks to moving forward. What do you see coming next? MyGreenPlanet.com is where we can find you want to find out more about Green Planet, it's MyGreenPlanet.com. What can we expect in the future now that we've got this ability to grow in the country, and what's on the horizon?
Well, Green Planet is actively trying to find new technologies, more effective products. What commonly occur out there when you're buying a nutrient, it's incomplete. If you look at certain brands on the shelf at certain department stores, if you look at the whole profile of what's in the product, and every single fertilizer manufacturer has to, tell you what elements are in the product. It's really important to note, high quality chemistry does not come for free. No. But we can do a lot better than what currently is available on the market. A lot of the new formulas that are coming out, we've got a product called Dual Fuel we're very excited about. Our 3-part has been absolutely killing it on the west coast of Canada.
BC growers are going nuts over that. Check that out. It's GP3, right?
It's GP3. Yeah. It's a cleaner, better ratios, more forms of iron. There's no carbonates in the product. It's sourced from the highest quality ingredients, and the end result is growers in BC so far, because we've only been able to do a limited launch on the product because it has to be registered in each state and on and on and on. There's lots of limitations, and you can't just automatically bring a product to market willy-nilly. But the results have been nothing but astounding. Everybody that's using it is having better results, better yields, healthier plants across the board. So we're very excited about that. That was one of the latest products. And there's lots of really unique products coming down the pipe. We're doing a ton of R&D and trying to find a lot of different elements to add to our formulas to provide better results. Stuff that hasn't even been tested on plants as of yet. There's some very specialized products going to be added to ours in the next year. We're doing a ton of R&D, like I said, and we're extremely excited about the results.
Absolutely. The research and development done, I've been part of this here at Green Planet. I helped dial in Medi1 when it was still in the exploratory stages, and I'm happy to say I still use that product now. I can't say enough about how much I thank you, Justin, and Green Planet Nutrients in general for all you've done, and thank you for coming on to Cannabis in Canada today and actually having a heart-to-heart about how this all came about. And I hope that there's a book written one day so that the history can truly be told of what took place, because it was very much a grassroots movement.
It was.
Thank you, my
Jason,
friend.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Keep up the great work.
Stay tuned for more from Cannabis in Canada. Cheers.